Now, South Africans, generally, we don't have a savings culture. It's one thing to have a job, it's something else to save the money you're making. It doesn't mean, though, that the youth of today should follow that trend, especially if you're young. 10x Investments Khwezi Jackson joining us very quickly before I say goodbye for today on some of the common mistakes we make in our 20s. And you're making me cringe, Khwezi, morning, because we've all done it, haven't we? We've made mistakes. So give me your number one tip for people of a young age to save today, because they're going to argue they can't save, they don't make enough money. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I think any good, sensible financial planning starts off essentially with a budget. I think it's easy to say I don't earn enough, but you sort of forget what are you actually spending your money on. And it's easy to call out, the rent, the transport, sort of the big key expenses. But, it's the R5 that we spend, on a cool drink or on chips and sweets by the road, or, the small coffees and so forth. And so these small expenses start to build up, to a significant amount that you can actually start putting away per month. So in order to sort of get control, or I think just an overview of what's actually happening with your finances, that budget is actually very, very key.
I think you're absolutely right. I think a lot of people, when they think of savings, Khwezi, they think it needs to be R100 or more, maybe R1,000 or more. It's not going to make a difference. But the R5, the R10, the R20 does make a difference. I'm going to leave this as a last question with you, because I am going to need to say goodbye in a moment. Where do we save that money? It's one thing to put the money away, but when it's very easily accessible, it's very easily spendable, isn't it? Where do we save so we can't touch it again?
Yeah, so I mean, there are short-term goals. If you want to save for a rainy day, when your car breaks down and you want to basically just have a safety net so that you can be able to withdraw some money quickly and efficiently to cover those expenses, so you don't have to dip into your long-term investments. And then there are long-term investments, saving for things such as retirement, or even having, I would say, goals to save for your children's education one day. So, you get unit trust, investments that we offer, at 10x Investments, and there's a retirement fund as well, which is just for your when you retire later in life, post 55, which is perhaps one of the most important investments that one can start making for themselves, because the future, I think it's ours to build. And when we get to that late age at retirement, we want to retire safely, and I think with dignity and comfortably. And so if we don't start saving now for that future, when we get there, we might be very disappointed at the choices that we perhaps made today.
Yeah, and you can't change those choices later. It's so important, Khwezi, as I don't want to call you a youth, but you certainly are younger than most consultants I've spoken to. And I think that's important. So you can see that the youth can do it. You're getting advice from Khwezi Jackson, 10x Investments, joining us. So it can be done. It can be done. Khwezi, thanks for your time. Always good to have you on the show. It's where I'm going to say goodbye for today, this Youth Day. Up next, I'm Fondo with Newslink. We're going to continue our focus on Youth Day. Thank you to the team behind the scenes.